talking today about February. Is that correct? I think we said the way to come back is to discuss essentially what we've been up to in February, what's happening in February in terms of what we always talk about, and maybe some other topics around that we've missed, at least in the last few months we've had a hiatus. When was the last time we actually uploaded? Do you remember? We last uploaded 5 months ago. That's insane. And our last topic was about gore. And just following that a few months before, because we upload so regularly, it seems, we talked about anthologies. So we've had some very niche stuff we've discussed. And we've missed so much shit. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a long time. So on the agenda. Now, should I just go through what we've wrote down, which we'd like to discuss first, and then we'll start. We'll crack on.
Yeah, let's go ahead. One. Yeah.
So we've got down, obviously, Dying Light, Sifu, the 2 new games that have come out in February. Probably going to give some general observations about the game. Have a good chat about that, because I'd like to hear what you think about Dying Light 2. In detail. What are the problems with it? Because people out there know there's problems. So we'll dissect the hell out of that. And then following that, we've got The Wolf Among Us 2, which had a new trailer, and Atomic Heart. Can't wait to talk about Atomic Heart. That's gonna be cool. And then we've got some a little bit more gaming news. I want to talk a bit about Ghost of Tsushima's Iki Island that came out, the expansion. You wanted to touch upon Guardians of the Galaxy, which you fully played and I haven't. So you're going to convince me, actually.
Yeah.
So your job there is to convince me. And the last 2 gaming topics we want to talk about, everyone's talking about it, but I want to have a little discussion about it, is the Activision and Sony acquisitions that have been happening.
Mm-hmm.
And also Battlefield 2042. And then we're going to follow that with some movie news and some discussions on Men, the official teaser trailer by A24. Is it Andrew? Who's the guy who's directing
Garland.
Garland.
Alex Garland.
And then we want to talk Alex, and then Batman.
Yeah.
So that's the discussions for today.
Yeah.
Anything you want to just jump in and maybe detail any more, or should we just get cracking with Dying Light?
No, let's just go. There's a lot to talk about with Dying Light, so I think we should just jump into it.
Dying Light.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
yeah. That's moving on. No, right. So the first Dying Light was a game that I really enjoyed, and actually I found that a great deal of people enjoyed. It's kind of like a cult classic now. The reason I call it a cult classic and not just a great game is because it didn't get the best of reviews. It kind of got crapped upon when it came out, and I feel like a lot of people think that it didn't get the rave reviews or the buzz it deserved, because it was a really interesting game, integrating a parkour system with almost like a Dead Island type zombie game was a really unique way to go. The premise was pretty cool. And yeah, it was just a really cool idea that was executed pretty well, but it had some glaring issues. First and foremost, the story was... The only thing I can really say about the story is that it was there. That's about it.
It's there.
It's
the
there.
same with the second one as well.
I'd say it's mildly better, but not much. Yeah, and the worst part, I think, was that the characters were unbearable. So there's a style of writing that is most prominently used by Obsidian, and it was used in the original Fallout games as well, which is actually really cool, where most of the characters they're walking this weird tightrope between very wacky and quirky and funny, but there's also depth to them, and you can actually deconstruct them, and they're really interesting characters at the end of the day. But on the surface, they're really wacky, and I feel like they tried to do that with Dying Light, but the writing was so bad that it was just infuriating to listen to all these characters talk about their BS and send you on your way to bring them random stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what really dragged the game down. That, coupled with the fact that the quests were really not all that interesting. So really, Dying Light 1 was a game with a really great core mechanic with the parkour and everything, and a cool world and premise, but it failed to put it in a context which was compelling enough, which is why it probably didn't get good reviews. I'm just giving some context before we talk about 2.
No, that's fine.
Do you agree with that? Yeah.
Well, all I'm thinking about right now as you're saying these things is how the hell is a zombie game so popular? Seriously, like, we've had too many... Zombies should be dead by now as a concept. It feels as though they've been overdone. But somehow, I think it's just mainly the parkour system.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just the
it's
thing that
completely
pulls.
the parkour system, and plus there's something really cool about the premise. I don't think anybody has done it before, which is like, oh, so there's a bunch of infected walking around, right? Well then, maybe we should just build gardens and outposts on top of buildings, and then use this verticality that we have in cities and become runners, and we survive that way just by avoiding them entirely, just by going on the rooftops. And it's just a really
that's
cool,
true.
really cool idea, really cool world
Well,
as a concept.
in addition, also there's the fact that the zombies come out in full force at nighttime, which has kind of been done.
Yeah.
But the difference is that at daytime they kind of like to hide away indoors. They kind of have some autonomy to them, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
They're kind of
and
like really freakish, real things.
And things have changed in 2, but in the first game at nighttime there were also volatiles running around, which were terrifying. The issue again with that was that at first it seemed really scary, but then you became so overpowered that it didn't really matter anymore. And also, there was literally no reason to go out at night, none except for extra XP. And
to interrupt you, I got to interrupt you. So to pull it round into like a nice, comfortable wrapping paper you'd have at Christmas. All right, Dying Light 1 was the inception of a great idea. And then they brought it through to 2, which is meant to be bigger, more expansive. Now, does it hold it up? Because I would say it doesn't, in general.
Really, I
I'd say
disagree.
it's
I think Dying Light 2 is a massive improvement over the first one in every way imaginable, and I'd actually it like way better. And I'd actually say that Dying Light 2 is a really great game, which unfortunately still suffers of some of the same issues that the first one did. Overall, I'd say it's a very good game. You disagree, though?
No, not at all. I was just trying to be contrary to get your view across. Yeah, I think it's a very fun game.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say to anyone out there that they shouldn't play it. That's what I always come down to. It's like, the thing is, I guess, if you put like a price evaluation on it, I don't know if it's worth full price though. Because it's a long game, which is obviously some people may measure that as worthwhile, but in terms of the quality of the story, it already is a huge problem for me because it's just crap.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if anyone disagrees. It's just my view.
Yeah. But before we get into that, let's talk about some of the positives and some of the improvements. So,
all right. So that's how we're gonna go.
Yeah. Let's start with the parkour system. It's much improved over the first one, and the first one was already great. I think it's by far the best, not only parkour, but the best movement and traversal system in gaming. And I think it's a milestone in gaming how fun this system is. It's more fun than web slinging in Spider-Man. That's how fun in my opinion, that's how fun the parkour is in this game. Is
it better than Mirror's Edge?
Yeah, way better than Mirror's Edge.
Feels more natural than Mirror's Edge, I guess. Like way you actually use the controls
but it's also way,
to do the actions.
Look, like one of the things that sucks about Assassin's Creed, and particularly sucked about Unity, is that despite the fact that it looked cool, you had no control over your movement. Like, it was kind of like tossing a coin. Will Arno do this time? Will he think this is cool? Or not? Will he do this?
Yeah.
And that level of unpredictability felt like you weren't really parkouring. It felt like you were at the mercy of the game systems. It felt like you were saying, hey Arno, go there. And he went there. But in this case, you have so much granular control over your movement. You have a regular jump, an enhanced jump, a far jump, a high jump, and then you can sprint to make those even better. And you can have trampolines and stuff. That's so much control over just one aspect of the parkour. You are in complete control over Aiden, which really makes you feel like you're parkouring throughout a city. And I feel like no other game has done that quite right, because Mirror's Edge is fun, but it still feels kind of arcadey and not super immersive, and it's fun, but it lacks quite a bit of depth. But you actually have so much control and freedom, and the thing is, you can play it realistic if you want, just running over rooftops, but you can also do crazy stuff like jumping out with the paraglider, and then going with the grappling hook, and it's just an amazing system. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Le parkour is good. There's nothing else to say to it, really. You could go into detail, but it's good.
I think it's really good, but yeah.
Use whatever word you want to describe it, but it's good.
Yeah.
There's little wrong with it.
Yeah. The combat is better than in the first game. And
Stop. Can I lead this one, because I would like to say I agree. I think that I've been seeing a lot of people being very naughty, and they're saying that the combat doesn't have the heaviness that the first one had, the ragdoll effects. This isn't true. It's just not true. As you progress, you get better mechanics to be able to have the better ragdoll effects. I think when you're holding like a two-handed hammer, it feels so weighty.
Yeah.
And I'm playing on PlayStation 5, so you get the feedback, and it's just so weighty. There's
Yeah.
like a bunk, bunk, and you're like, oh Jesus, I'm sorry, Tommy. I hope it didn't hurt you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's totally
you're
true.
Really,
The only
great.
issue with it is that when you try to kick somebody off of a ledge, there is no animation for it. They kind of just slide, like it's like they slide over an invisible something and just kind of fall down with no animation.
Is this the drop kick?
No, not the drop
Or
kick.
is this
No,
the
just a regular,
block
just trying to.
and the-
No, just trying to kick somebody. That's it. The kicking doesn't feel good anymore. That's one thing that's a downgrade. I feel like the kicking felt super good in the first game. In this one, it feels like you're just kicking a sandbag. There's no weight unless you use a drop kick, in which case it's super powerful.
Yes.
So that's my one qualm with the combat. But other than that, the progression system is still really good. And yeah, overall, I think it's still better.
I like the skill trees. That they do feel like every time you get a new skill point, it's like you actually have to think about it. Like you go into your skill tree, you're like, okay, what do I actually want to be able to do
Exactly.
now?
Yeah.
I like that.
And
I
it's-
like
and
that,
it's
'cause
not-
you
it's-
actually. I've spent a bit of time doing it. You know.
Yeah, and it's not bullshit. Like, it's not like a stat upgrade. They're like, oh, you run
Yeah.
0.56% faster now, and like if you equip this with this and you combine them, then you're 10% faster. Like, that's what I was afraid of when I heard it's going RPG mode, because I hate that stuff. But here,
To be fair,
what
to be fair though, on the clothing,
the
yeah,
the clothing has that, but it is what it is. But at least the skills.
you can't win with everything.
Yeah, at least the skill tree, every single skill matters and radically changes something that you do. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it for the combat, unless you want to add something.
No, I think I just wanted to talk a bit about the open world now, because this is probably where I have more problems.
Yeah,
I know
no,
we said
I know,
there's
but-
good and bad, but it's hard.
Let's
hard.
just finish the good, because then there's a lot to talk about with flaws. So the world, I think, is like gorgeous and much more interesting than in the first game. They kind of flipped it. In the first game, you start in the city and then you go into the old town. In this game, you start in the old town and you go in the city. But mainly that's because the city is so much more impressive here than before. It looks much more visually diverse, and it looks the sense of scale and the draw, how it works with the draw distance. It's really quite mesmerizing sometimes to just stop and look at the vista, knowing that you can actually climb up there. And I know you can kind of do that in Assassin's Creed, but the thing is, in Assassin's Creed, it's like, yeah, you can climb up there, but it's boring as fuck to climb up there because the parkour system sucks. Over here, it's like, oh shit, I can imagine how cool it'll be to, get up there somehow. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When you get to the top of some place, always take a second, have a good look around, just relax for a few seconds.
Yeah. And finally, but the thing is, so far these have been like nice improvements, but the first game already did these things pretty well. Something that I think actually is a massive improvement, where the game didn't do it well, is the characterization. I think the characters and the writing are much better in this game than in the previous game. Like, I actually remember the side quests, I remember the characters now. Whilst in the first game, I can't remember absolutely anything except for the name of the main character.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the writing is just markedly better than in the first game.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
And the characters, I think they're just much better than the first game. However, I think, and now we go into the cons. Despite the writing and characters being better, I'll give it to you. The story is still pretty fucking shit, and I'll leave that to you.
I'm such a negative piece of shit, so I wanted to leave the negatives of what we're going to discuss. You said that the writing is better. Mm-hmm. It's better, yes. But what was it better from? And how much better?
Yeah, it was better from complete dog shit, but it's still better.
Imagine dog shit, and imagine
piss.
cat shit. Is that slightly better? You know what I mean? It's still terrible. So let me ask you some questions. Aiden's backstory. What do you know about it?
Yeah, it's terrible. Like,
Oh, no, 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 no. Let me stop you there. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry. Any of the other characters? What? Name me any of their personality traits.
come on,
Maybe their names,
I
if
think
you can.
I think the writing, the characterization is not that bad. I just think the story is terrible. But like,
I'll tell you what bugs me. Can I go on
yeah,
a slight rant? Because
yeah,
this is the one critical thing that bugs me, and it's the fact that they're not 3D people. So I'll tell you an example. So I went out, did some open exploring. I had a quest, and I had to go back to try to keep this spoiler free. In the main city, there's a lovely wooden
you don't need to keep
built
it.
area.
This is spoiler. This is full of spoilers. There's no need to keep it.
Well,
Okay.
it's not really any
Yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah.
So you go to this area to go and continue the quest. You go speak to one of the guys who's going to give you the next instruction. Anyway, when you walk into the room, they're already talking straight away about the quest. And I feel like that's such bullshit. Like Tarantino would say, no, they should be talking about hamburgers. They should be talking about something else for a second. Like you don't just talk about the story at all times. It's all what every character does. They don't talk about anything else.
I have a rebuttal. Like
Go on,
in a
go on.
world which isn't an apocalypse, where you don't have the Dark Ages, and yeah, but in a
Yes.
world where literally all of your actions are super important,
That's
and
interesting.
they can lead to the next day being horrible or the next day being bearable. You know, you're not going to talk about hamburgers. You're going to talk about what you have to do.
All
I
right.
think.
Yeah, take the piss out of my hamburgers example. But
No.
I actually
no,
disagree
like,
with you so much.
Like not just it's not about hamburgers, but like in general, I feel like Aiden is there because Aiden is not friendly with anyone. He can become friendly, but Aiden is actually hated at first because he's a pilgrim. Aiden is a tool for them. Aiden is somebody you pay to do a job, and you know when I pay somebody to do a job, I don't just have some laughs with them. I get to.
but that's not what I was talking about. Slight distinction. When you go into the room that I mentioned, it's the other characters amongst themselves that are talking about the quest. It's like that's the only thing they can talk about. And I feel like in a situation like this, people would be three-dimensional and they'd be like, for God's sake, can we just... Do you remember when things were better?
But they do.
Does
do
anybody
that.
want to just go get some...
They do
They
that.
don't.
Though. Yeah, they do though. Like,
No.
yes, they do. When you walk around in camps or anywhere, they talk about a bunch of different stuff. Like there's this one. They don't talk about the quest. They talk about their lives, and there's one guy who talks about how he can't sleep at night because of the sound of the infected, and how he sometimes wakes up thinking that the fall never happened, which is pretty interesting.
There might be some... No, there might be some examples. I'm just saying, generally speaking, it's
No,
not,
though there
it's-
are in the open world. But when in the quests there is
maybe in the well,
but the quests are quests.
I think it's just like, for example, I think of games like Red Dead Redemption where they've got characters that have other conversations outside of the missions, the mission structure.
but
they
they
make
do.
them seem like still.
Oh, you mean between like
I disagree.
You mean between the main characters or the NPCs?
The NPCs and how they talk to each other, and what you hear in the background, for example, that's one thing.
But the
And then
NPCs
another
do.
thing is,
They constantly talk about stuff which has nothing to do with the quest.
Not in my experience. In my experience, you walk into the setting where you need to go to speak to someone, and you can hear them like, okay, so the plan is this. This is what we have to do. This is the only way we.
Yeah, during a quest, but like the reason during a quest,
No,
but the
when
reason you're there is to do the thing.
Well, we're hitting a brick wall here, but this is exactly as I have experienced it. I can't really divert from that. I'll be curious to see if anyone else has this view or has Pete's view. Be curious, but I seriously don't think that these characters are three-dimensional at all.
And I think
they
that
just talk
there
about...
there are moments of three dimensionality. Like okay, there is spoiler. Okay, so there's the quest line with where you have to save Aether, and you have that whole part with the witch lady. They call her a witch lady, and she already had been put through hell for an incompetent peacekeeper not using her healing properly.
Right.
And you ask her for help, and then you go back, and then you realize that maybe she hates the peacekeeper so much that she told you to administer something which won't help, and the dude will die. And you kind of have to make the choice for yourself to figure out if she would still help him or not. And in the end, she did help him. She told you the right treatment. That's a three-dimensional element. She's somebody who's her eyes have literally been gouged out because of the peacekeepers. Her life has been ruined, but she still decides to help them in the end.
I again, maybe I don't know what I need to explain more to get you to get this, because I know you agree with me somewhere. You must do. Like, you haven't played The Last of Us 2, but that's a good example as well. when you're on the journey to do the mission, whichever it may be, there'll be a point where the characters just talk about some other stuff. They'll
And,
just talk
and they
about
do
stuff
that
that's
too.
unrelated.
Like, there's the part with Hakon where he talks about how he wants to go to a beach and how maybe you can go do it together, and he asks you, and you talk about it with him. There's the part where Lawan calls you to.
I remember that one.
There's the part
Yeah.
where Lawan calls you to Danier's birthday, and you play Truthford there, and you can ask her about what she did after when she escaped from Walter's facilities.
No, but that's in an. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're really beating the hell out of the pie, so to speak, at this one. But I think we do need to sum up though.
Yeah.
Otherwise we'll be stuck on this.
No, look, my point
my
is
argument is
that
that it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
No, my
'cause
point is
I
that
pretty
the-
much made my point clear.
My point is that the characterization and writing I think is much better, and it's actually good. But the story is shit. Aiden's backstory is really horrible, and the whole reason why the events
Yes.
happen is terrible. I think the whole element with the peacekeepers and the survivors is lame because it's a stupid faction system which is dry as hell, where one faction is authoritarian, but really maybe they use it because they want to unify everyone, and maybe they're not that bad, and then one of them is like, we're the anarchists, but like we really care about community, and like we're free, and like that, like, and then they fight. Like, it's the most lame two-dimensional factions ever, and that's what I mean. Like, the story is terrible.
Yeah, you could get rid of the factions.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would make the game any worse.
Exactly.
Probably better.
Yeah.
The problem is then the story needs to be rewritten, I guess.
Yeah, and also,
It would make
I mean, I've already spoiled something. The whole backstory with Aiden looking for his sister, it's the most lame plot point ever. Everybody hated it in all the other games where it was done, and they hate it here. The flashbacks, I think flashbacks are one of the worst tools to convey a story, both in films and whatever in games. The flashbacks really suck. Just the whole story was terrible, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm just going to sum up my point again because I still think it's true. If you don't agree, it's fine. I'm just saying, I think if you play games like The Last of Us, Red Dead, God of War, whatever it might be, essentially you've been treated because you've played the best in terms of story and characters, where they actually talk about other stuff and they feel like they're 3D. Again, you can disagree. It's no problem with me at all, honestly. Maybe I'm completely wrong in some view, but I just don't see it. I don't see it, and I feel so unimmersed by it. It's like every character you meet is just, we're gonna go do this mission now, and then it's like Jesus Christ, I learned nothing about you.
But like,
You're just
but you do though. Like the same with
they make some attempts, but it doesn't land. It doesn't land. None of it lands when they do it. It feels either forced. It's like, but let me tell you about my fatherhood, and I had a very bad wife, or something. It's just it always feels either forced or uninteresting. It's just, and that really just withdrew me. I was just like, I remember the last time I was playing it, I had so much fun with the parkour, but I was doing like Scottish accents and Irish accents to keep myself entertained as I went through dialogue. I was genuinely reading it out loud. So.
Okay, yeah,
Do what you got to do.
I just don't think it's that bad. I think it's much better than the first, at least, but that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's better than the first. With 100%, because you can actually remember. I remember Lawan. I remember some of the key characters you meet from the Peacekeepers, not by name. And yes, it's better, but I'm just saying it's not.
I mean, it's not fucking.
So-
it's not Red Dead Redemption 2 levels of narrative, or of course,
No,
of
it's not.
course not. But not every game has to be a narrative masterpiece, and like Red Dead doesn't have the best parkour system in gaming, or
Absolutely.
like it doesn't have a lot of the things that this game has. But I mean, of course, Red Dead is still a far better game. That's not. I'm not saying that they're comparable, but I'm just saying like Dying Light 2 attempted to do something else, and. For me, it's fine that it's not the best story of all time, but yeah, at least it's not a.
So as you can tell,
yeah.
Talking about the criticisms to this game is not an easy subject. I think actually it's because of the fact that it does something so well that it always feels unjustifiable to criticize it because people are really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think ultimately the reason is because there was not one moment in the game where I wasn't entertained. I lost track of time playing the game. You just keep on playing it and you keep on doing the stuff, and it's fun. I also think that look, it's clear that Ubisoft, for better or worse, has had a huge impact on the gaming industry. Like, everybody talks shit about Ubisoft's formula, but every game, not every, but a lot of games copy elements of it. They copy, like, the radio towers. You have that in Dying Light 2 from Far Cry, and a lot of that type of stuff. And I feel like Dying Light 2 at least has a unique perspective on those, checklist gaming type things, like the substations and all of that. I actually thought it was kind of calming and relaxing sometimes. Just there was that substation which was flooded partially, and it was kind of relaxing, just parkouring and platforming around, trying to find the wires so you can plug them in and turn on the substation. And I feel like even though it does a lot of bullshit open world checklist gaming stuff, it's still fun ultimately. But let's get into the cons.
I actually agree.
However, we should still count it as a con that it does have a lot of the flaws of open world games, and maybe you can get into that a little bit.
So, okay, what I think you and I both said.
Yeah.
The main issue with this game, honestly, is just the fact that it takes too many things from Ubisoft formula. It's just, it does have these it has repetition in its open world.
A hell of a lot.
Which is something you have to kind of implement at the cost of, say, if you want an expansive open world where you can just free roam and parkour with. You have to make some sacrifice. Otherwise, you just can't. You're probably spending way too much then for your funding purposes.
Not only that,
try to get the game
a heck of a lot of time. Like, it's easier to come up with one generic variation and then just mildly change it. And yeah.
So how about for practice sake, we actually list out the open world things they do.
Oh yeah, okay.
So let's try to name them.
There's
all.
so many.
Let's see how many there are.
Yeah, substations.
So the first one,
substations, metros, dark hollows, military convoys, parkour challenges. There's
parkour challenges.
There's a hell of a lot of stuff. There
might be a couple more, but
there's a whole carrier's quest line where it is
the windmills,
the windmills, of course, the water towers, and
water towers.
There's so much.
Now, this might put some people off. Just like we've listed 7, there might be a couple more we're missing, but these things are everywhere.
And a lot of the side content is just doing these things over and over.
Yes.
Now,
okay.
What
I think we should talk about is which ones of those can we forgive, and why.
Well, here's the thing. I think they're all fine for me because it's super enjoyable to do anything in this game, and
because of the parkour.
Yeah, and but also because I don't mind these kinds of things, but that varies. Some people really hate checklist gaming, but some people hate open world games, and this game is not going to change your mind on the matter if that's what you think.
Yes.
But for me, like I said, my favorites were the substations and the metros, because they always had like a mildly different platforming puzzle you kind of had to solve, and you actually used your parkour in it, and the challenges. Yeah, those are my ones I forgive the most.
Yeah, and also the metro stations and where you have to put the power generators on.
Yeah.
It employs that darker feeling that Dying Light has.
Mm-hmm.
You're underground in a lot of cases, or you're at least within some sort of caged environment. The electricity places. It's cool.
Yeah, and one of the worst
gives off the good vibes.
One of the worst ones, though, is in my opinion the ones where you just have to loot buildings or that kind of thing, because. Not the GRE Dark Zone, it's just general looting, because some of them are just general looting, like the convoys and just going through buildings. My issue with that is that a lot of the buildings are reused, like the bandit outposts, for example. Every single bandit outpost I've been to looks, I think, exactly the same, unless I'm mistaken, but it looks very similar to me. Like a lot of the places where they send you for looting. In the carrier's quest line, you have to deliver packages to certain buildings. Those buildings always look the same, despite being different ones. And I feel like, some of these ones really show that they reused assets heavily in this game.
Yes.
And that's okay. Every game reuses assets to a certain extent, but sometimes it feels like in this game, they actually come with a giant spotlight and say, look at our reused assets. And that can be a little bit frustrating sometimes. So, yeah.
I agree. So I think the next criticism, and you've kind of really put a nice either way point in there to go to it, is that the open world recycles assets, as we know. But I would say the nighttime is not as scary as the first.
Yeah, that's another big complaint. Nighttime is not scary at all because there's no longer volatiles everywhere, and chases are so easy to escape. You become pretty powerful pretty quick. It's just never scary, and the stealth system is even worse. Just not good, unfortunately.
Yes, the stealth system is kind of really bad, isn't it? Actually,
it might as well have not been there, frankly.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of more offensive it being there in such a shitty state than it not being there at all.
Part of the problem is because there's not a dedicated skill tree for it. There's combat, which actually suggests you do not be stealthy, essentially, and then there's the parkour, but there's no stealth. There is a ranged class.
There are some stealth options within the combat.
There's like the stabbing.
Yeah, the stabbing.
There's the stabbing one, yeah.
The stuff from Far Cry. Exactly from Far Cry. I think Far Cry was the first game where you can stab someone and then press a button and then throw a knife at somebody else and, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it has that.
So, I just watched a nice video on YouTube the other day where there is a comparison between the retail version of the game and the E3 demo, which they released in 2019 or something.
Yeah, completely different.
No. It's not about the quality or the graphics or anything or the emotion. It's just about the fact that in that game, trailer, the demo, the buildings were so much more connected together, and there was a lot more verticality, and there was less big open roadways that are like this big. And I feel like you encountered that a lot in the city.
I feel like the game still has a fuck ton of verticality. I actually can't think of a game which has better verticality than Dying Light 2. Can you think of anyone besides Spider-Man, maybe?
But the big roads.
But there's some boulevards, but like you can easily cross those without going to the ground as well.
Yeah, no. My point was about chases. Like, if you've got these huge open areas, you can just jump around everything.
Oh, right, but it's not only that. I think a big issue, there were some really easy ways to fix this, and I don't know why they didn't do it like this, because it's easy. They should have put volatiles and more zombies on the rooftops as well.
Yes.
It shouldn't have, there should have sometimes been open areas on the ground, and maybe if you're running away from the rooftops, you can go to the ground a little bit, and you're forced to go in a building, and then go through the building, climb outwards, and there should be a puzzle as to how to escape things as you're parkouring at night.
Yeah,
and that's just not there at all. I don't know why it's not there.
Or maybe it should be a little bit harder to use parkour to get to rooftops, and it's a bit more punishing if you make the wrong jump. But that's, again, maybe that would completely fuck up the system. But Pete, I just realized we've been talking about this for a while now, so maybe we should move on.
This is maybe just the Dying Light 2 episode so far.
Fine. How about concluding thoughts on Dying Light 2? So tell us a little bit about your progression, tell us a little bit about your current satisfaction with it, and maybe DLC thoughts, anything like that.
I really enjoy the game, actually. It still has massive issues, mainly, I think the characterization and writing is actually good. It's not incredible, but it's good. Personally, but I think the story is a joke, and it really hinders your enjoyment. Yet you don't care about the story almost at all. Some people would call this a 7 out of 10 game. I think I would ultimately give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoy it. It has some big flaws, but it's a really fun game, and there's no moment in it where it's dull or it's like, oh, I kind of want to try something else. Like, you lose time having fun with the parkour system in this game, so that 8 out of 10 for me, I think.
Yeah, it's better than Back for Blood. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I also would like to add that DLC-wise, I hope that they actually try to get away from the factions.
Yeah, unfortunately that's not happening because one of the first DLCs we're getting is a faction DLC.
Is it about factions?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's really sad.
That's sad.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think I hate this number system thing, but I would give it a 7 out of, or a 7.25 out of 10.
I feel like most people
It's very close. Yeah. I'm less forgiving of the story for me. However, that does not mean that I'm not going to keep playing it, or it's such an artificial thing to number it, but it's still a great game. So On that note, we must move on because we are now way over schedule. Holy shit!
Yeah.
So, first episode back in a while. We are going to talk a bit about Sifu now because I haven't played this. Pete, I hear you have.
Yeah, I have played it. Yeah.
Well, what is
Anyway,
it?
I just wanted to tell people to play it. Okay, Sifu is an amazing game. If you need a number, I would give Sifu a 9 out of 10. I think it's almost a masterpiece. It has a few flaws, but I think it's an amazing game. There's so much about this game that is great. It feels like nearly a perfect game, actually, because everything that they wanted to do with this game, they have perfectly executed it. And their vision was so clear, and the art style and creativity of it is off the chain. It's crazy, and it feels like every map was made with such precision. The precision could cut you.
Yeah.
Every map seems perfectly crafted, and there's little secrets that you can find out as you progress. The roguelike system is actually pretty fun and always keeps you on your feet. Although I feel like they could do a better job of explaining it sometimes. I was a bit confused at the beginning, and eventually I figured it out. But yeah, now the most important part is by far the best combat / martial arts system in the gaming that I've ever played. It's way better than any of the other ones. It never gets boring, and once again, this is another game where you have so much control over what you do. Like, you really feel like you are a martial arts master, or it really feels like you control the character rather than just mildly engage with them. So yeah, the story is it's not the best thing ever, but it's a really cool stylized story that kind of reminds me. It's like a compilation of all of the best hits of martial arts and Kill Bill a little bit.
Kill Bill.
Yeah, so why is it it sounds like it's a 10 out of 10 then, right? What's the issue if it's perfect? Well, the issue is that it is a perfectly executed vision, but there's not enough of it, in my opinion. After I finished the game, even though you can keep replaying, I still felt like it could have used a few more maps. And the biggest issue is that there's only one style of martial arts in it. Like, it would have been cool if you could have learned several styles, but you have one really fucking good one. But it would have been nice to have more than one really fucking good one. It's mainly just...
like some different stances.
Yeah, it's mainly just Pak Mei. And it's cool, and it keeps you interested. I'm not bored of it, but I feel like in order for this game to be a 10, it needed more maps, more styles, and more enemy variety. But I still recommend anybody play it. Yeah.
Okay. If you're not persuaded now, you probably never will be.
Exactly.
So, I'm probably going to get it, but on sale, just to see. Because I'm not too excited about it, but it does look quite cool.
Still one disclaimer, the game is incredibly difficult. It actively punishes you for dying.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point, because the point of the game is that you have to master the combat system. And...
like mastering.
Yeah, and the way you master a martial arts or anything is through repetition. Some people will hate that repetition. Some people will find it rewarding. I found this game to be probably the most rewarding game I've ever played, or one of them, at least. Because it really feels like if a game actively demands that you get everything exactly right every single run, it feels like even if you did something cool, you have like a master whack you on the knuckles with a stick to tell you that you didn't do it quite right. And I liked that feeling. And by the end, I really did feel like I became better at something, which honestly, I think games don't do enough nowadays. I feel like games are not too easy, but they're too brainless, or not. I can't find the word. Not brainless either. They're
disciplined.
Disciplined. They're too convenient. Everything is too easy on you. And that's good for accessibility. My point is that not that they have to be difficult, but it has to feel like you get better at it for some games, or that it's actually you doing everything. So yeah, that's just my opinion.
I totally didn't expect this game to be like this, by the way. I did not expect it to be this hardcore game where you actually have to put hours and hours into practice to get good.
Me too. When I first saw it, I thought it would be like this chill thing that you pick up and you beat some dumbasses up and move on. But it's
it's just like fun. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But my concern is that it's going to be put in the category of the Souls-like games, and a lot of people will not play them. A lot of people just simply will not have the time or energy after studying, work, whatever they do, coming home, playing a stressful game. They're going to be like, fuck this, I'd rather play Minecraft.
It's stressful in parts, but it's also fucking exhilarating in others. Like it really feels amazing. You take out a whole room and it's like wow, I took advantage of all of the mechanics to take these fuckers out and I didn't even get hit once, and it's really satisfying. But yeah, it's each their own. I still recommend it. Anyway, we should move on, I think. Yeah.
So next topic is the 2 new trailers that came out recently, The Wolf Among Us 2. I cannot wait for this.
Yeah.
I am so excited for it. And Atomic Heart. So let's take them piece by piece.
Let's start with the positive, I think, right? Let's start with Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, let's start with the positive. We'll explain why, because we know secrets, trade secret about Atomic Heart. Okay, so The Wolf Among Us Part 2, or should I say 2? My good golly, there's going to be a selection of people now in the gaming world who actually haven't played the first one. That's the first thing I'd like to say. It came out, what was it, like 10
years while ago? Holy shit. Like, I was still a child. Well, not a child. I was still like a teenager, I think. But like, I was a kid when I played it. Yeah. Gosh
darn it, it's been a long time. I actually will go through the first game again. I think just to remember the story, which is hopefully going to carry over. But I don't know if it will start exactly from the ending of the first season. The second series, what we've seen from the trailer is limited, but I'll just quickly go through it. It looks like it's got a new engine, better graphics. There's higher frames that the trailer's rendered in.
The lighting system in particular is really impressive.
Lighting system looks notably better, yes. Yeah. But overall, they haven't departed from the graphical style that we're so familiar with.
Which they shouldn't.
Which is good. No. We've got some new characters involved. Unbeknownst to me, I am not sure who they are.
What?
But
what do you mean you don't know?
The characters involved in the trailer.
Yes,
are you aware of who they are from the Fable universe?
They're the Tin Man and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow.
I wanted to confirm that with you. Is that seriously who they are?
Yeah, they're the Tin Man and the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz.
I didn't think they were in the Fables universe.
They are.
You see.
Are you sure? Every fairy tale is in the Fables universe.
Yeah, but I didn't think they were. I thought they were technically part of that. But that's interesting. Anyway, you guys should check out the trailer. It looks pretty cool.
It looks all like you don't understand how much of a relief it is, because when I heard that the game was coming back, I was worried that I would be sad that it's coming back because it's going to be some BS made by a completely different team who don't understand what is good about this universe and what's good about The Wolf Among Us, and they would make some crap, and the writing would go down the drain, and I would just be sad. It's made by largely the same people, and they clearly still understand why this game is special and what this game is about. The style is the same, the writing is still top-notch, and it's still clearly the Wolf Among Us identity, and that's a relief, because it could have gone very bad.
I still can't believe they got the bloody Oz characters in there. I'm really surprised. I mean, like, it seemed obvious to me, but part of me was saying, this can't be in there. There must be some IP restrictions or something. This is intellectual property theft. Maybe it's a cameo.
I mean, how do you think the big bad wolf and the little piggies and Snow White are in the Wolf Among Us?
Maybe it's
Snow White.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Just kind of a surprise is all. But it's not like they reveal much information about what's happening there. It just seems like Bigby's investigating something, you know.
Yeah, he wants to arrest Scarecrow.
So my earphones have just disappeared. Don't know where they're gone. Anyway, so as we were discussing, you can't really see much what's happening in this scene. He's being investigated or really spoken to in a manner around a table of individuals. It's almost like some sort of psychological assessment meeting. Trauma meeting.
To me, it looks like he wants to arrest Scarecrow, and Tin Man is like, and Tin Man is like the henchman. Yeah. Tin Man is the muscle who's gonna stop Bigby from doing so. But Scarecrow has done some shit, I think.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about where he's sitting down and speaking with some sort of qualified professional person.
Oh yeah,
they're asking questions like, "What do you do when you get angry?" That kind of shit. It seems to me like he really lashed out. Did this problem occurred in this setting with the Oz guys, and then he's in some sort of psychiatric evaluation place or something.
Yeah.
Looks cool. So the main questions that I wanted to discuss with you, Pete, is how much do you think the first season will have a bearing on this one? I'm curious to hear. Do you because it's been a long time?
I mean,
obviously,
it has
had a huge change in writing.
Like, it has to have some bear. It's a connected story. I don't think it's going to be like disconnected from the original.
I don't think it's a given though, because they had the whole Telltale rip-up where half of the staff left.
No, but they're back for most of the people who were involved in that are back for this game.
There's a second point to it though. When you play the Walking Dead games, they did set a precedent where they wouldn't continue the story directly from the previous ones. So, for example, Lily in season 1 of the Walking Dead Telltale series, she leaves. You have like some choice you can make about if you help her or something. She doesn't come back till the last season. What I'm saying, it doesn't connect directly to the next season.
They have to explain the whole fucking conundrum they created with the end of season 1. They can't ignore that. It's a massive cliffhanger that was never explained.
It was so massive. It gave my spine chills.
Yeah,
chills. Yeah.
They have to. They have to. They might not do it directly. They might somehow make this disconnected, but still explain subtly through other things what that was about. So, they have to explain it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I dare say we're going to get to see a lot more characters as evidenced by the trailer, which would be great to get more and more of the Fable universe involved.
One thing which is like essential about this, and it's brilliant that this is the case, they're going to be writing everything before they start releasing the episodic format, which means that the story will be done before the game is released. That sounds obvious, but the thing is, in the first game, they did not do that. In the first game, they kind of wrote it as they went along. And that resulted in is the final few episodes being a mess and feeling disconnected from the other ones and just being of an overall poorer quality, unfortunately.
I believe they said that they rewrote the entirety of the last few episodes.
Yeah, it was clear that they got very confused towards the end. That won't happen here. So we'll have a complete, cohesive story, which is great.
So in summary, we can be quite assured this won't be a shithole. This should be good.
Well, I don't think we can be assured, but relatively, yeah.
It's likely that
it's likely. Yeah.
Whether it will be the same quality, because also there's been a change of time as well. I don't know if the same setting and the same kind of story is going to have the same effect now.
It is. It's such a cool.
I don't know.
It's such a cool.
I hope
setting.
so.
Yeah.
It's still a fear of mine. It's like the darkness that we come to expect and enjoy with the wolf. Is it going to be the same feeling now? Also, we've got older. A lot of the people who've played it are 10 years older or so now. It's like, well...
but The Wolf Among Us was not... It was always for adults. We just happened to be kids that played it. But it wasn't made for kids, so...
Like everyone's playing Grand Theft Auto when they're free, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think the release date was mentioned-ish. It did say 22, sorry, is what it did say. It's coming out in 2022. So I think that's all they put.
No, it's coming out in 2023. You're thinking about Atomic Heart.
Oh, so I was about to say, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So it's 2023, so it could be a long while away.
It is a long while, yeah.
Could be, it's still a long time away.
It's a year away.
That's still long. I mean, in gaming worlds, there's going to be a lot of games coming out before then.
No, I mean, I'm saying that is long. Yeah, that's...
Yes, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Very excited. Very, very excited because it's one of my top favorite games. Enjoyed the world building more than anything. So I'm looking forward to it.
Actually, sorry to interrupt, but if you want to know more about Josh's opinion on it and why he likes it so much, we actually have an episode which is about our favorite.
Gosh almighty.
Which is about our favorite games that you can check out. And he talks about it.
If you keep talking, I'll find it.
We'll link it. No, I'll just link it in the...
Well, I just wanted to figure out when it actually was published. Because again, if you weren't aware, we have been doing this for a little while, but we have just come back from an extended hiatus. So
yeah,
it's just like, where the hell did we leave it off? I don't even remember. But
yeah, we did. Wait. Did we release this before we started doing videos?
Don't know.
If we did, I might just re-upload it, but audio only. So yeah.
Anyway, okay, let's talk about the big boy. I would say this is my most excited part to talk about here, because Atomic Heart, they revealed quite a lot about the game now in the new teaser.
They revealed so much, yet nothing at all. But
that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, part of me is saying that's a fantastic thing. It's really cool, because it just doesn't give you anything. You kind of go in a bit blinded, which is great. You can see clearly its inspirations. Of course, but
yeah.
really is a big question mark, I suppose.
Yeah. To
What are
me,
your
this
thoughts,
game,
Pete?
yeah, it looks visually quite impressive, creatively as well. There's a lot of interesting aspects to it that
Yeah.
make it unique. It's a unique
Just to
idea.
say, sorry, Pete, sorry, but if you haven't seen the trailer to
Check
Atomic
it out.
Heart,
Yeah.
and you're hearing these two words together, Atomic and Heart, and you're like, what the hell? Just go check it out, because if you're interested in kind of new, fresh, really kind of psychological horror games that are shooters, it is set
Yeah.
first-person shooter. This looks like an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Developed by a Russian studio, Russian setting, similar to BioShock. What else would you
Very
describe
similar.
it to
It's
be?
like I'll get into that a bit later, but
Yeah.
basically like it's a conceptually and artistically sound product. It seems like
Yes.
it's interesting, but they still haven't explained what the game is really. They've put some cool imagery out there, and they're like, "Oh, look, there's a Soviet theme to this one. It's like a Soviet Bioshock. Hey, isn't that really cool?" And that's kind of it. It's like I also feel it's tonally inconsistent. It tries to be dark, but it also has like a Obsidian humorous thing going on at the same
Yeah.
time.
Well, that could be just because of the trailer.
The
That's what
trailer,
we don't
sure.
know yet.
But to me, it feel like the fact that we still don't really know what the game is worries me, because I hope that it's not Bioshock. Okay, because Bioshock is a very outdated game now. It's like it's good,
Yeah.
but like nobody wants like a linear shooter.
But can I stop you right there? Because to be fair, a modern time linear Bioshock game that is completely readdressed, rebrought to the new time and age we live in now could be good.
I just feel it's so boring. Like just another linear like hallway shooter, with like some cool powers maybe.
Yeah, but
Like
you gotta think story will be
like
also interesting.
we've had games like this. Remember Singularity? It was it was okay, but it was pretty mediocre. And I hope that it's not like a graphically impressive 2022 version of Singularity or something like that.
So okay, let me ask you this
yeah.
then. Based on a couple of questions, based on what we've seen so far of Atomic Heart, do you think it is open world?
No,
If you were to guess,
it's
right?
definitely not a open world.
You don't think so?
No.
I think it's going to be linear, but with open world elements.
It's gonna be semi-open world. That's my expectation, but
yeah.
not fully, which is fine. I don't think everything should be fully open world, especially not something like this. But my concern is that it seems like some friends, like just took some cool ideas, like, oh, we like Fallout and Bioshock and Stalker, you know?
Yeah.
What if we just mashed it all together and added aliens and bio shit in it? And like, wouldn't that be so cool? And takes another toke of the fucking ganja.
Yeah.
And just and plus, like I said, the fact that we still don't really know what the game is. They said it's like heavily inspired by Bioshock with exploration as a focus, but it has to be more than that. I don't know.
What I was kind of hoping that they should do is make it like the way that the game functions and plays would be similar to something like Resident Evil. I thought that would be quite cool.
Yeah, like yeah,
With Bioshock
that
elements.
would be brilliant, but
it's not going to be like that.
I don't think so. It's going to be very focused on explosions and action and stuff to surprise you, and like I feel like that'll just feel very artificial and wear thin in the first hour. But
if it is like a run along, tag along, shoot 'em and kill 'em with an okayish story with loads of crazy shit, is it going to be like Bulletstorm?
yeah, that's
Something like
that's at least their marketing makes me think it's going to be like Bulletstorm or Singularity with the atmosphere.
Bulletstorm was good though.
It was good, but like it's not an amazing type of game.
It's not a life changing experience. I would say.
And with the Bioshock atmosphere, like it could be like a fun little romp, but something worth 60 quid. I don't know. Like
Yeah. I think I'm a little bit sad though, because the game still is. I'm very intrigued by it, and I do like the setting.
Oh no,
I do like a lot of what it's on offer.
like I said, artistically and conceptually sound, and it looks interesting. It's just I hope that it's. I don't expect it to be good. I think it'll bomb spectacularly. I don't want it to bomb because I actually was interested in this game, but with every single thing they keep on releasing, the less confidence I have in it being good, unfortunately.
Kind of strange that it's first person, isn't it?
Well, no, if it's inspired by Bioshock, of course it'll be first person.
It would be good in third person though, because let's be honest, the combat, not with the power ups that we saw in the recent trailer, but the melee combat looked really naff.
Yeah, it looks exactly like in BioShock. And like I said, if it's BioShock,
Skyrim.
if it's BioShock with a Soviet theme, you're like fucking 15 years too late for that. Right? We're in 2022.
Yes. I'm trying to think without dragging this out too much, but what has filled that void of BioShock in the last 10 years?
Well,
since
2014. Well, not exactly BioShock, but System Shock. You know, the whole immersive sim thing. We've had Prey, and I think Prey is one of the best games ever made. I think Prey might be my third favorite game of all time. And Prey is a masterpiece. But I wish we would get Prey 2, actually. But Prey is amazing because it's an immersive sim, like because of the freedom and the mystery of everything and traversing the map, and it's a very cerebral game. And I don't know if this will be like that. I feel like this will be more just linear shooter gallery thing, and that just doesn't excite me. And if it's not that, they've done a terrible job in the marketing of showing us that it's not that, because the marketing once again is just cool imagery.
Yeah, it's a strange one because they haven't also really marketed that much yet. That's another thing. They've only shown us 2 or 3 pieces of gameplay trailers.
Yeah, over the course of like fucking 5 years or yeah.
So maybe it's just the fact, and also that is coming out this year. This is what I was trying to incorrectly state earlier. This game is coming out.
This game is coming out in September 2022.
Or October, because what they do is they use asterisks and they say BER.
Yeah, but so only September fits.
October, November. It
could also be one of but it only there's 7 asterisks. September.
I actually didn't count them, to be fair.
There's 7 September. So yeah.
I thought maybe they were leaving that open. As like a marketing ploy. Well, someone can check that. Well, yeah, it's coming out soon then. That's cool. I'm glad it's coming out. I actually thought this game was just going to look like BioShock forever and never come out.
This is once again like kind of weird. Like we haven't had any information on it for like a while, and now it's suddenly coming out.
Okay. If they don't provide us with any much more information, we should then be very, very skeptical.
Like, I hate that people don't do fucking gameplay trailers anymore, like proper gameplay trailers. Like, stop trying to sell us something. Just show us a vertical slice, a chunk of your game, and just show us what's up.
Yeah, but the thing is, when they do that, then they actually just take the time away from the game and create this whole new bloody gameplay trailer for you, which is not even in the game.
Or do it Red Dead style, or like Rockstar style. Okay, don't make it just a complete vertical slice, but just show us the mechanics, show us what the game is, and then couple that with some cool imagery and some cool music to make it like an atmospheric, but also show us actual gameplay and explain what you can do throughout. Like,
I completely and utterly agree with you. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Because guys, we can all agree the consumer gets shat on in these instances. You start to... You trust them. It backfires.
Yep.
Bang.
All right.
Let's move on to the next topic. So
let me just say,
talk a bit about...
I don't hate the game. I want it to be good. I just don't expect it to be good. Okay. That's it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to men. So,
nice.
Pete, would you like to introduce why we're going to discuss this film, Batman? There's no other films on our list.
Yeah, because these are 2 movies that look amazing. Well, kind of. We're very excited for them. But so the reason we're excited for Men is because we like the director Alex Garland. He has done Ex Machina and Annihilation. Ex Machina is an incredibly cerebral, clever, funny, and stylistic take on a really unique story about AI, and it's really well done. It's a very clever and slick film that deserves all praises. It has some amazing performances all around, from one of my favorites, actually, Oscar Isaac. He does a really good job in it. And Annihilation is like a life-changing movie. It's one of the best sci-fi films. It's got one of the most explosive and insane and enchanting endings in film. Like it's cosmic horror done right, which is incredibly difficult to do. And obviously that means we're excited for anything this director does in the future. And this film seems interesting. The reason it kind of hooked me with the poster. It's this image of this tunnel and this person standing in the middle of it. But the color grading is really interesting, and the tunnel almost starts to look like a skull. But it contrasts with like the greenery and the background, and it looks really cool. We saw the trailer, and then I got a little bit discouraged. So I think the trailer looks a little bit it looks very similar to Ari Aster films. It looks like Alex Garland saw Hereditary and Midsommar and was like, well, that's really cool. I want to do that too. And he kind of just copied some. Well, I don't want to say copied, but he took heavy inspiration from them and then cobbled the film together. Now, that might not be the case. It might be the case that the people who made the trailer thought it would sell well if it looks like Hereditary and Midsommar, because a large reason for why I think that is because of the sound effects in the trailer. They sound a lot like the ones used in the Midsommar trailer. But that could just be the people making the trailer thinking this will make it sell well, and the movie is actually unique. But regardless, I am going to definitely watch this movie. What do you think, Josh?
Well, you kind of stole a bit about the taking the sound aspect and putting that in, because that's basically what I noticed. Mm-hmm. I found in the last few years this is the most interesting type of film to watch, is these ones.
Yeah.
So the second this poster came out, just recently we found out about it, and the trailer came out just shortly after. Very excited for it. Mm-hmm. And I really do hope, though, that it is a departure and an evolution, because I don't want it to be similar to what he did before with Annihilation, because it could be kind of...
I mean,
with a different
Annihilation
story.
was already very different from Ex Machina, so... That's a good sign.
That's true. They aren't really similar in any way, shape, or form, are they?
Nope.
So, and actually, this one maybe even seems more rooted in reality. The idea of the setting that this new Men film.
Granted, this one is a horror film. At least it looks like a horror film.
It kind of seems a bit like a slasher film or something. Like some guy's chasing.
It kind of has like an It Follows type thing happening.
Oh gosh, that's a good film as well.
But, yeah, that's a great film. But yeah.
Yeah, it kind of almost like a Hush vibe as well.
Or Hush, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect with this one. I actually don't. Don't be like Atomic Heart though.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah. I'm definitely still gonna watch it, like regardless.
Yes.
Yeah, looks interesting.
And do you have a release date on hand for cinema days?
1 second, if you don't mind.
Well, if while you're doing that, I can also mention the next film we're going to discuss is Batman, because that is just around the corner.
Yeah. Okay, so it's coming out May 20th this year.
Soon as well. Great. It seems to me that the COVID situation has improved a lot now, and I don't know if this has any causality. Probably doesn't, but maybe a little. All of the good stuff is on the way now. Maybe the stuff that was in development for a little while before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I haven't got really anything else to share on Men, except from that I'm quite excited about it. Batman, everyone's probably the same as us, just looking forward to it. It's out soon. And Pattinson's taken the role. Looks like with a lot of... in good stead. I think he's going to nail it. Yeah. I have a lot of faith for him, actually.
Pattinson is like my favorite actor right now, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just surprising given his roots with Twilight.
Such a U-turn.
Who would have thought? But yeah, he's an amazing actor, and I think he's really good for Batman. But this, like, even beyond that, the movie just looks so good. Every single thing they reveal, it looks even better, which is normally not the case. Normally, something looks good, then they reveal something, and it's like, oh, it looks a little bit, doesn't look as cool as before. But now it's the opposite. Here, it's like everything they reveal, it looks even more exciting and even more fresh. And yeah, it looks like a film that has no studio affiliation. It's just... I don't know
unhinged.
It's unhinged. It just seems like somebody's creative vision about the character brought to life, but it also doesn't not only like somebody's like out of context creative vision. It's clearly made by somebody who actually loves the character of Batman and knows the comics, because from what I've seen, it actually looks and feels like the comics. I don't know, visually, and granted, it's a bit more film noir and a bit more grounded, and it feels a bit more Fincher-esque, but it still feels more comic accurate. So
I wouldn't know, but I'd be inclined to believe you. I would also add, I love the Batman car. Yeah, I love it. It's the best one. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
That's important.
I mean, the Batman costume too has a little detail that wasn't present in the previous ones, which is that his belt is actually, like in the comics, of a gun that was used to kill his parents turned into a bat bat signal. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel, however, I must say, like I feel like, despite I am almost certain this is gonna be a masterpiece. It's gonna be an amazing film. However, I'm certain that at the same time, there's gonna be a lot of complaints about people saying, "Oh, it's just dark again. It's not like the comics." Like, because Batman looks unhinged in this one. He looks like a military insurgent, and there's gonna be people who say that's not like Batman in the comics. In comics, he's all suave and cool, but like, you know, it is what it is. I actually like this. It's a dude who dresses up in a bat and beats up criminals. Like, I don't find the complete animation version particularly interesting. It's
right.
It's a millionaire's son who has the money and power to dress up as a bat and beat people up. You know?
Yeah, when you frame it like that, it sounds a bit twisted.
Exactly. So I think it'll be good.
Do we have any understanding of whether this is disconnected from an origin story?
It is, which is great. Not only is it disconnected from an origin story, it's like year 2 Batman, which is great because this means that he's already established as an entity in Gotham, which means he already has relationships with the villains and the everybody, but he's still not like the fully formed Batman. He's on the way, which is.
So this will actually make him the formed Batman after this film.
I mean, he already is, but like he's not the. Yeah, I know
what you mean.
Yeah. Which is great. I think this is the perfect place to do it. I don't know what idiot in Hollywood said, how are people going to understand the character if it's not an origin story, if they don't see how it started out, and then
have to see his fucking parents die again,
yeah, exactly.
Please.
Like, you don't need to do that. In cinema, you can imply things and make people understand.
Maybe we'll get some flashbacks in the film where we can see the parents die.
Oh my god.
It will be so good. And we can see all the pearls falling from his mother's neck and onto the ground.
So it's a good sign that this one is nothing to do with an origin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So stay tuned for that. That's going to be soon. Okay, so we've already gone over our probable time we wanted to do this for. We're quite far in, but I would suggest... I would love to still talk a little bit about Iki Island. Just a little bit. I played through Ghost of Tsushima's expansion recently, and I highly recommend it. Especially if you've got a next-gen PlayStation, definitely pick up the DLC. It's really good. Very good. If you still wanted to scratch the itch of playing a little bit more Ghost, Pete, you have to play this game at some point.
I want to play this game. I want to play Bloodborne. I want to play Ghost of Tsushima. I want to play Returnal. There's a lot of exclusives I want to play, but I'm not going to buy a console, motherfuckers. Release them on PC, and I will buy them, okay? I will give you the money. So, I'm sure they will come...
Sony just wants to give you a cuddle.
I'm sure that... they will come out on PC eventually, but I still have to wait.
The thing is, as everyone may know, Ghost of Tsushima, an open-world samurai game, is also the perfect creation that does use a Ubisoft formula. It's not repetitive, and most games are. That all aside, though, the Iki Island expansion, why it's good. It's a little interesting of a story. You've got some cool armors that you can collect, and again, it's just going to add some new abilities. I really don't think I need to go into too much detail, but I will say that the armors that they implemented to this expansion are beautiful. Some really good artists who work at Sucker Punch, and they put these together. It's really beautiful stuff. You've got a God of War one. They've just added a Horizon Zero Dawn skin as well. And you can collect these from shrines. And there's a great skin which is like made out of raven feathers. It is incredible. And I'm making a dedicated archery class. You can really make classes. What you do for Pete is you have charms and you attach them to certain armor types, and you can have a loadout of different armors with different charms attached, and you get some fantastic. Oh, I've got this really cool monkey armor as well, and it actually stops you. This sounds really counterintuitive. It does not let you block, so you really have to.
So you have to
skilled
fly around and
No, you can do a perfect parry.
Oh, but you can't block. You have to perfectly block.
So it makes it a bit more high risk, high reward. But if you can get down the perfect parry, you can cut people to shreds.
I mean, you can dodge as well, I assume, right?
Yeah, you can dodge, but you don't get the benefit of the armor, which is that you get like an extra slice or two in, and it's cool animations all the way, baby.
Cool.
It's so good. Yep. Beautiful island, gorgeous game, and it's running at 60 FPS at checkerboard 4K on the PlayStation 5. Beautiful game. Utterly, honestly, I've never seen a game that has such a gorgeous environment. That's all I want to say, really.
Yeah, the
Obviously,
game.
you can't
From what I've
play
seen,
it.
the game looks really beautiful. Yeah. Although I feel like it goes a little bit ham with the effects sometimes, like with
No.
like sometimes the rain and the leaves like combine into this cacophony of fucking shit on your screen, but like colorful shit. But the game is beautiful for sure. Yeah.
You know, I've got to find a grope with this game. There's too much color. Too much colorful shit in your face. No.
Yeah.
You'll love it when you play it, dude. It's good fun.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, Battlefield, did you buy it?
No. Are you crazy?
Let's not talk about that. Why do we want to talk about this?
We shouldn't talk. Everybody know, like, it's a disaster. It's, I think, contender for one of the worst games ever made. Really, like, it's that bad. Like,
Is it really that-
I have never seen a game from a big company, like a big company with big boy money.
You didn't buy it, did you?
No, of course not. A big company with big boy money make a game that is this bad. Everything about it is wrong, and I just don't. I just don't understand how this happens. It's, yeah.
I tell you what shocked me. I heard the scoreboard is not in the game.
Not
There's no
only
scoreboard.
not only is there not a scoreboard in the game, but eventually, once people complained enough, they were gonna bring it in, and they called the scoreboard a legacy feature. A legacy feature, not just a regular feature that almost any competitive shooter has. It's a legacy one that fans really want, but we didn't do anything wrong by not including it in the first place. Like, what other first-person shooter has a scoreboard?
This
Yeah.
just sounds like a really dickhead landlord who's like, I'm not going to let you have water. I'll change my mind. You can have legacy water.
Yeah.
It's like a right based on.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Besides the bugs, it's still in bad shape. They haven't fixed it.
It's not only just the bugs, but just it's wrong how they approached it. They didn't give us Battlefield. They gave us like this weird combination with Overwatch hero systems, and it doesn't belong in Battlefield. We don't need operators. We need classes so that people can cooperate. That's the whole point of Battlefield. But also the shooting is just not fun. Like, the destruction is bad. It's worse than in the previous games, which is insane. The destruction is bad, and the graphics, I think, look ugly. Like, I don't understand. It's just bad.
To be fair, I did predict it.
They had me
I
fooled
predicted.
because it seemed cool, the idea of the expatriates. I thought that they were going for a Spec Ops The Line atmosphere. They didn't, no. So,
Cool.
yeah.
I get it. I think a lot of people, not unlike yourself, were the same. So
Yeah.
stop buying EA games.
I
Seriously,
actually haven't
stop
bought
buying EA games.
I
Everyone.
haven't bought one in a very long time, actually. Yeah.
I think honestly, we just need to stop buying their games.
Yeah.
They don't really release anything else anymore that's good.
I can't think of
Jedi
anything.
Fallen Order was the last game they made I liked.
Oh, Jedi Fallen Order was amazing. Like, that was
Yeah, but can you name another game? Is what I'm asking.
no.
That's it, yeah.
But I just want to mention it. Play it if you haven't played it. Jedi Fallen
Yeah,
Order
it's
is a
good.
very good game, and I can't wait for the sequel.
Even better on PS5.
Yeah.
Okay. Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda acquisitions, which have been going on. Bungie as well.
Yeah. Crazy.
I think we should conclude on this, by the way, because we're running
Okay.
way over our
Yeah,
time. So
sure.
let's get some thoughts out there, Pete.
Yeah,
what the fuck is happening?
So that's, first of all, of course, the first acquisition by Xbox is insane. Like, that's a lot of money, and this is the type of money that buys you a long-term plan. They're not thinking short-term sales. They are thinking 10, 15 years in the future, which is crazy. But I still can't help but feel that it doesn't make as much sense as they would like it to. I feel like it was a very expensive acquisition, and Activision is on the down low right now. Okay, they have Call of Duty, and it's one of the most popular frames per second with first-person shooters.
Yes.
But every year they sell less of it. Like slowly, it's becoming more and more irrelevant. Who the hell even plays World of? Okay, some people do, but much less than before. World of Warcraft is not the huge cultural hit it was before. I think the biggest, you know what's funny? You know what the biggest part of this acquisition is, in my opinion? Candy Crush, because they're gonna make a fuck ton of money off Candy Crush.
Yeah.
But
I did actually think of that. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they spend a lot of money on something that might not pay off the way they want to.
And they have made bad acquisitions in the past, haven't they?
Yep.
Microsoft.
Yes.
Nokia.
That was
one of that comes to mind.
That was a bad one.
Skype.
Yeah.
Granted, not video game developing companies, but you said though that generally the companies are on a down low. Activision, Blizzard.
Yep.
The only counter argument is that it was not the actual companies; it was the management staff, as what we've all heard from, at least from Blizzard. It was like
I'm sure, but like it's still gonna take a while for it to change that.
I'm not convinced they have the IP.
Yeah,
I don't think that they have the games that are going to make the millions. But maybe I'm wrong because.
But granted, like I said, they're thinking differently now. They're thinking like they no longer want to compete on consoles. They want to compete on how much money they can make per how many games they own. Like they're going to put a bunch of stuff on Game Pass. They're going to probably move the World of Warcraft subscription to Game Pass to make money like that. They eventually, I feel like they're even going to put Game Pass on PlayStation. You know.
You were saying this. Can you imagine a world where Game Pass is on PlayStation? Christ.
But like this thing, I don't like this because this makes me think of a future where almost every major game studio is going to be owned by one or two companies.
Yep.
And that sucks. That's a horrible future. We don't want that. But it feels like that's the direction we're going in, which is sad. Sony, on the other hand, some people have said they did it as a retaliation, but that doesn't make any sense. A deal like this takes a very long time to come into fruition. It probably has nothing to do with it. It was in the works for a while, I'm sure. But I feel like the Bungie acquisition is a much more sensible one, and one that I can actually see a future with. Like, it makes sense. Destiny 2 is like massive, and it only gets better with time. And Bungie have already said that they want to make new games and new IPs.
Yeah,
and it seems like it'll be just a classic Sony thing, where Sony is going to give them a bunch of money and say, all right, I'm out. You can do whatever you want. Give us a game. And they release it as an exclusive, and it's good. So that's what I expect.
It also fills that void that PlayStation, Sony have, which is just they don't have multiplayer shooters. And they don't have any online, what's it called, service games. So
live service.
They're trying to... Live service games. Again, I'm not really a fan of these kinds of games. I like Destiny. I did enjoy that for a good while, but I stopped playing it.
Well, Destiny 2 is like the best live service game, pretty much.
Yes.
By far. So, yeah.
The thing is, which I'm sure I'm not the only one. Destiny 2 would be so much better without microtransactions, without DLCs, just constantly being updated into... But the thing is, this is the new model.
That's how you make money. You know, that's the pricing. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It makes way more money.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
So obviously I think Sony got a better deal. I'm a huge Overwatch fan. That's the only thing I care about with Blizzard. I'm a bit worried about an Overwatch 2 not coming on PlayStation, but I think it will because of contracts and stuff. But yeah, Overwatch was the only thing I cared about. I don't care about COD. I think people our age are bored generally of these kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not that this is not going to make a fuck ton of money. Like, Call of Duty still sells a lot, and it still makes a lot of money. World of Warcraft still makes quite a bit of money. Like, it's not that... It's just that how much was it? 70 billion? No, like, how much money
86.
86.
Memory serves.
Like, that's how much money they have to make that back and then even more. Like they have to make a profit. Yeah. Like, that's a long fucking hike. Maybe they have some genius analysts which figured out that it actually works, but I cannot see it that far. I cannot see it, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on this one.
I just hope. I hope that it's not a trend where, like I said, where like a bunch of studios get bought by two companies and they're owned by them.
Well, then competition concerns are going to come up again. I think that's one thing we can... What I don't understand is ZeniMax's acquisition brought up competition concerns. The EU regulators were like, look, we're really not sure if this is consumer friendly.
Yeah.
They took a long time to analyze it. Then fucking Activision one. It's like
They still
10
did
times the value.
they still did talk about it.
No, but the clearance was quicker.
Oh
How
yeah,
does that happen?
I don't know. I think the best part about this acquisition is that it's probably gonna fix Blizzard and Activision.
Yeah, it's gonna fix
and
Blizzard.
and it's gonna like hopefully make the work environment for those devs working there a better one.
Yep.
Still kind of annoys me that Bobby Kotick walks out of this richer.
Oh yeah,
But
with his dignity, money,
it's the world.
pride,
It's the world we live
whatever.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, James Webb Space Telescope launched on December
Yes.
25th, 2021. Didn't expect this one, did you, Pete?
I
I
do.
was at home with my lovely family, but not with them because I was isolating in my bedroom with COVID-19. And I decided to get the Omicron variant. It was a nice experience.
You decided.
So I was
I like how you. It's like you went to the grocery store and picked one. Like, oh, Omicron. Yeah, this looks good.
I was in Asda, and I was just like, Delta, no, Omicron, it's discounted. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So I got the Omicron, and I was isolating, and I remember on Christmas Day, I didn't even have a Christmas meal, I didn't do anything. What I did do, however, was watch the James Webb Space Telescope launch.
Hell yeah.
And my good golly, well done to all the space agencies. This space telescope, how many unfoldings was it that had to happen without error?
Dude, well, like, yeah. Not only that, but it's been such a long time that we've been waiting for this. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's one of those things where you couldn't even imagine it happening. It was so far in the future, but here we are.
Oh, I'm so happy. They sent back the first image. Granted, it wasn't aligned, the telescopes, but
Yeah, it wasn't like a spectacular image, but it was still the first one. You know, so that's something. Yeah.
can't wait to see more shots from like black holes. Hopefully, getting some images, seeing to the edges of the galaxy. Well, the universe to see other galaxies that formed.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm so fucking pumped for it. I hope we get some good pictures, man.
Yeah,
Make some new discoveries.
yeah. This is the best of humanity. Stuff like this, you know, makes you feel better. Makes you feel better
it's just
about the
insane
world.
that they did it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just insane. Like, look at us. We do this podcast. These guys put a telescope the other side of the moon.
Granted, like it's like fucking thousands of people working on it together. You know, like
Yeah. For years.
Yeah.
A long effing time.
yeah,
With tons of money of investment. I mean, I'm sure we could put a telescope there if we had the money investment.
yeah. No, but you just need a massive team, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Well, does that sum up our first episode back after our hiatus? It was nice to have a good chat, Pete.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk more in the future.
All right. Red Pony
All right.
out.
Signing out.